On and start the stream proper. Hello everybody, welcome to Discussing Tabletop. I hope everybody's having a great day. We're once again back in action. So sorry we were missed last week. Joe had an emergency, couldn't join us, and ended up I didn't get any guests. And I'm sure you don't want to see my mug talking into you guys for a while. I mean, you hear me enough during the week anyway when I'm showing from all my episodes. So an extra just my face just meh when I'm just talking to air. So we're going to have an extra longer episode today just because I'm going to follow topics from the last 3 weeks because I had my PAX special. So why don't we dive into the topics for this week? So first off, we do want to talk about Magic the Gathering. Nationals is back. We just want to talk about that briefly because neither of us are really experts on Magic tournaments, and I'm hoping I can get a guest maybe for Magic tournaments, and we can talk about this a little more. Then we're moving on to unearthed arcana. There's Sorcerer, Wizard, and Warlock have some stuff to talk about. So we're going to talk all about those. In Paizo, they've released a book, Heroes the High Court. So I want to talk about, well, high society in your adventuring games. There's a couple of RPGs I want to talk about. The Conan RPG is now out. Synthicide and Fragged Empire, both futuristic ones. And of course, I want to finish up by talking about some Investigators of Arkham Horror, the book based on the, well, board game, which I thought was interesting. A book based on a board game. And from there, we are, of course, going to move on to Stories from the Table and Discussing Tabletop. And we'll finish up today's episode and hopefully be not too late, but get all the stuff in. So this is our extra longer, I have a huge list of topics that have built up over 3 weeks, let's talk about them episode.
Woohoo!
And hopefully I can start grabbing some more guests again. I unfortunately, you can blame me for this week. I didn't have a lot of chance to send out messages to everybody, and I've just been scheduled badly. If you've seen my episodes on my channel, I am a little behind on them once again because I always seemingly get behind somehow.
Well, Matt, please don't grab the guests. I don't think it's appropriate.
Anyway.
Yes, bad joke, I know.
So why don't we dive into the first topic, Magic the Gathering Nationals. It's been announced it's returning, and a couple changes to Grand Prix. Now, if you haven't seen my episode of Gathering the Roll where I talked about this, the entire idea of why it's returning is, well, Magic let it go by the wayside when they didn't think they had the organization to do it. So this is like 5 years ago. So they've had 5 years of developing their tournament scene better, which I think they've always had a tournament scene, but I think it's like you still consider this 5 years of developing the tournament scene. And if I think back on 5 years of Magic the Gathering, I mean, I think that's me getting back into Magic during that time. Because Scars of Mirrodin came out in 2010. So that would have been a couple years, like late 2010 is the thing. And that's where I dive back into Magic. So I kind of feel like it was a little before there when it was beginning to surge back a big chunk and return to the popularity that, well, gain a huge popularity. Because I think you didn't hear about it as much before even Zendikar. I think Zendikar was really when it started surging back in a lot more. I'm not sure about the Alara block or before that, but the modern era, I was just sort of disconnected from it. I think you were too, Joe.
Yeah.
So this is already getting into the era where things are coming back, and I can understand because it's probably not quite there yet 5 years ago. Yeah, they're going to not look to nationals. But now they're thinking of bringing it back. They're planning on bringing it back. They also are changing from 4-man teams to 3-person teams. That's going to be their aim for, because they introduced it in the World Cup, and they always find out that someone's, not busy during that time, so they're switching back to 3-person teams. We're trying to aim to. And they're also switching more from modern when it comes to the format of choice for big tournaments to standard. And now that's an interesting one. that they're no longer supporting Modern the same way. So this is like a huge bit of big chunks of news. 3 big things in one. Because I have heard discussions online that they basically feel like Magic is, with this announcement, stepping away from Modern and almost maybe abandoning it a little bit. And the Modern format is something I've never really built decks for technically. When I build a block deck nowadays, it's technically either standard or would have been standard at the time. Yes, it's called Modern, but it's based around that block. It's not based around everything from Mirrodin on, the original Mirrodin, which is Modern.
Right.
So, it's a lot of interesting things all in one. And unfortunately, I don't have huge tournament experience. That's why I think when it comes to the Nationals, we can maybe see if we can get someone Magic-based. Same for the 3-person teams. Because, it's like, we don't know the model between a 4-person and 3-person team. But I think I do want to talk a little bit about the shift away, back to Standard, away from Modern. That interests me. Now the thing is, we have to consider Standard is expanded a little bit. With when they reformatted Standard, they technically have a few more sets in it than they would have previously. They have about 2 years worth of Magic cards rather than a year and a half's. Okay, that does make a huge difference in things. But my question would be at this point, why the shift? Because they already have a lot of Standard tournaments,
right.
So they're keeping the Nationals purely Standard, is the thing. Nationals will be Standard, and they're going to start in March, so next month.
Yeah, I don't know why the shift. I mean, go ahead.
Well, they claim that that Modern being the constructed format of choice was like a mixed feedback, apparently.
Okay.
And so they basically, the way they say it is they're going to highlight more current formats. That's the language they're using. More current ones.
Well, I guess then they feel that people are, people are playing it this way that more, and they want to go where it's popular.
That's true. Though, I think it's the difference between... I think it is the difference between newer players and older players. Newer players, I feel like, have a big chunk that they believe in... And I don't even say, really older players, Newer players, in the last couple of years, I feel like they're built more towards the Standard. And those of us that even have been around since, I don't know, Mirrodin or Kamigawa, those people that are more, even have come in during the Modern era, they're more used to the Modern format.
Right.
Because that seems to be the discussion that's going on with this entire thing is... It's like a new versus old thing, and the thing is, the old people can adapt. The new people like it, so they're going to win out. But there's the fans of Modern, which are sort of losing out in the end. Again, I build Legacy and Vintage decks. And the only technicality between the two of them is, I think... I can't remember. One of my decks is technically Vintage or Legacy, just because of a banned card. Because I can't remember which one has more banned cards ever off the top of my head. Because I'm terrible that way. Oh, I can look it up, because that's smart.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I know. Well, it looks like... banned in that format. Our cards are restricted. Oh, okay, yeah. Most of my decks are probably technically could be vintage or legacy, except for a few of them that I have. Like, vintage has far less banned cards.
Gotcha.
It's legacy that has the banned cards. So, yep. And though I know I have definitely one deck which is neither of them and wouldn't be tournament legal at all because it's my deck with 4 strip mines, and strip mines is restricted in vintage.
How about unglued?
They aren't allowed in anything. They're not considered tournament legal ever.
But I want to play with my chaos confetti.
I know you do. But then it will go away forever and never come back.
Well, no, but then I want to use a land as a proxy.
You and your proxies that you're attempting to do.
Tear up chaos confetti.
Yeah, I think that's I only have one deck, which is technically not vintage legal. Yay!
I have no idea because I don't keep up on it, and I only really play with like you for the most part. So I don't really.
Your
care.
decks are fine. The vintage list here, the majority of these cards, I don't even think I have many of them. There are a few that I do own, but none that I would of the ones that I do own. Very few I would actually play with. I think I have a Lion's Eye Diamond. I would never play with that thing. It's you sacrifice it. Well, you sacrifice it, discard your hand, and get 3 mana of any color to your mana pool, and you can do it as an instant. And it's a 0 mana cost artifact.
That's really powerful.
Yeah,
especially if you have no hand.
Yes. Like I own Lotus Petal. That's the 0 mana. Tap it, sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool.
I almost owned a Black Lotus at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I didn't get it because shortly after that we had a fire in my house and I lost all my cards.
Don't sit on Big Bird's arm.
So that would have really sucked.
Oh, my artifact deck is a vintage too because I have both Tinker and Tolarian Academy in it. Yep.
Well, aren't you special?
Mm-hmm. And I own a Wheel of Fortune, though I would never use it because each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards.
Do you have Beta White?
I could, but I don't. I chose not to.
I can't think of the guy who actually hosts it.
Pat Sajak.
Pat Sajak. Do you have Pat Sajak to go with it?
No.
Oh. That's not very Wheel of Fortune, then.
It's not. Not at all. They don't want a Scheherazade? Aw, Scheherazade is banned in all formats. You don't want to play sub-games of Magic?
Yes! 10 of them!
Yeah, every anti-card is gone. Every conspiracy card is technically banned in all formats. Chaos Orb and Falling Star, because they're the ones that you have to flip a card around.
Right.
And then Scheherazade, Captain, I play sub-games of Magic. But anyway, before we get really off topic, because we are here looking up this list.
Yeah. We never get off topic. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. Yes, we're great at sticking to topic, and therefore sticking to schedule. But regardless, yes, banded vintage list. I'm vintage and legacy decks mostly, with of course decks which are, I would call them block decks rather than standard decks, because I'm always efficient at building them when the actual set is in standard.
Right.
I'm behind on building a couple I wanted to put together, and so I probably should actually do that. Maybe I'll do a stream of that. That's something interesting. Since
I still want to hurt you for getting that one card.
Which one?
The one I want for my one deck.
Oh, the vehicle one. The one that you can pay mana to make a vehicle a creature.
You suck.
It's only a normal rare, it's not a mythic.
I know, but you got it.
I don't even think I have a lot of Kaladesh yet to think about building a deck in it.
I are growing.
Yes. Maybe I'll do that on stream. Build some decks on stream. Just because I'm probably going to take a break from Civilization from a little bit after my last horrible, horrible defeat in Immortality difficulty, which is the second highest difficulty because I felt like hurting myself so much.
Stop flogging yourself, Matt.
Unplug myself all I want. Stupid Scythia getting me into a war with Russia. They're like, oh, we'll give you some money per turn if you go to war with Russia. Little do I know, Russia can invade me by ocean, and like, I have to fight them back. And in the meantime, Poland declares war on me, and they're an even more horrible threat to retake the city they take. So I managed to get back 1 out of 2 cities, and then it's like, well, poop. And I was in a great position until they attacked.
See what you get for declaring war for money.
There wasn't even that much money. They kept asking me about it, though, so I finally caved in. Just because Scythia was my actual neighbor. I couldn't get to Russia.
That's even worse if you were declaring war on them.
Yeah, I actually had been ignoring, like, ocean-based technology completely, so I couldn't even get near them.
I can't attack you. I'm going to declare war on you.
I thought they would, like, declare peace with me right away.
It's Russia, Matt. It's Russia.
I should have known. Yeah, it's Russia.
And even if you would have invaded them, you would have died in Siberia.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were on, like, a Pangea continent, so we were all on the same continent. So it was even worse. But the Scythians literally separated me out from Russians, was the thing.
And then it's like, hey, go to war with them. Prod, prod. Prod, prod.
It wasn't a bad portion of money, and I wasn't earning a lot at the time.
War, what is it good for?
Apparently good for the Polish, because they looked weak until like they conquered my city, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, I can't reconquer my city very easily, because I had like 3 military units the entire time anyway, up until war got declared.
Wait, you declared war with 3 military units.
I hadn't been focusing on military, I've been focusing on science.
Why would you declare war then? I'm not a warful person. I'm going to declare war on you. I have a weak army. That's a good idea.
It's a terrible idea. It was, okay, yeah, I made a horrible mistake and it cost me the game. Great, right. All right, let's move on. So yes, we will revisit the Nationals a little bit, since, you know, the shift from Standard is an unusual thing. Maybe our Magic guest will have some more insight on that when we get them. But let's move on to some unearthed arcana. Because, well, we have 2 weeks of it to talk about. And I've got a niece in the background who's quite loud.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's also sweet and cute, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about the unearthed arcanas. Let's talk about Sorcerer, and we got some Warlock, and 1 Wizard. Can you be a little quiet? Thank you.
Never.
She's like shaking her head.
That's why I said never.
4-year-olds. Why don't we start with Sorcerer? Because there are, well, 4 Sorcerer unearthed arcanas they put out.
I like Favored Soul so far.
Well, Favored Soul is mixing Arcane and Divine, and it was a actual class in 3.5 that was effectively a Divine version of a Sorcerer. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. You can learn spells associated with the Cleric class.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm a Sorcerer Cleric.
That's what they actually kind of are, which is actually pretty awesome. They can re-roll a saving throw and miss an attack roll with a 2d4 bonus, you know, at first level.
Yeah.
And a short rest covers that. And they get extra hit points. Yeah.
Which is always nice.
Yep.
Blessed Countenance.
That's just you get bonuses to charisma checks.
Yeah. Divine Purity is nice because you get immunity to disease, poison damage, and poison condition.
Yeah. And as a bonus action, when you have less than half your hit points remaining, you regain a number of hit points equal to half of your normal maximum hit points.
Yes.
It's a bonus action. You, like, heal yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, the Favored Soul is actually really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I like it a lot because I think it mixes, like, you could take... It's the perfect mix of sorcery and divine, I think, too. Because the thing is, like, it sounds ridiculous that you have 2 spell lists to choose from, but you still have the maximum number of spells you can take as a sorcerer.
Yeah, it's just you can fill 2 party roles at once, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. And
Because you don't always get someone who wants to play a cleric.
Yeah, and sometimes you need one, sometimes you don't.
Most of the time you need one. You need a healing. A lot of times you need a healing person.
I guess so. I mean, I feel like 5th is a lot less the healer, but that's an entirely different discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I like Favored Soul. I think that's an interesting one. So Phoenix Sorcery is the next one, which you draw upon the powers of the Phoenix.
I love the quirks.
Yeah.
Especially, you absentmindedly ignite small fires that quickly sputter out. I'm like, well, that's lovely. Hey, I'm going to use this scroll. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I just burnt my scroll, the fireball.
Yeah. Or like first level, you can just touch things and magically ignite them. You're like, yep, burning.
Or you cackle like a fiend and you unleash fire spells.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, you're on fire.
Like the Phoenix Spark's pretty cool because you basically, like, at 6th level, can resurrect yourself from 0.
Yes, that's awesome.
Or the...
And you can burn yourself to heal.
Yes.
Nourishing fire.
Mm-hmm. Or the Phoenix form, where you just...
You become a phoenix, basically.
Yeah.
You have resistance to all damage.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And then there's sea sorcery.
A water and ship-based one. You can breathe underwater and have swim speed equal to the walking speed at 1st level.
You become Seaman.
In a water-based game, that's just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You have a curse ability, which you can curse someone with. You have water defense. You resistant to fire. That's pretty good.
You also can do cold and lightning damage.
Yeah, with the curses.
Yeah.
Ooh,
force movement. Nice.
The shifting form is kind of interesting because you take half damage from attacks of opportunity and can move through an enemy space, but can't willingly end your turn there. And then the water soul, where you no longer eat, drink, or sleep, critical hits become normal damage, and you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Very nice.
I know. Water one is pretty cool, too.
Well, it's definitely would be useful in any seafaring game.
Or anyone that you're in an area that's going to involve water. You know, even if it's just not the water ones, it's
oh, yeah, but I'm just saying seafaring in particular because it's just like, I'm a water sorcerer pirate.
Yep. Stone sorcery seems kind of cool, too. You get proficiency with shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons. Right off the bat. That's kind of cool. Because sort of like, well, I can use any weapon I want. They give you a whole list of, like, extra spells you get. Your hit points increase, and you have a base AC of 13 plus con modifier. When you're not wearing army.
That'd be really good if you, I like to mix and match some things, so like that'd be really good if you're doing like a sorcerer who also does melee.
Yeah.
You get some good benefits from that.
And you can grant an ally normally sort of a protection of Earth, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the 18th level one is you can do that to 3 creatures, which is really cool. And you can add the force of Earth to your spells. It takes extra, but that's force damage, equal to half your sorcerer level.
So you become a planeteer?
Yes.
Earth.
Well, we have Earth, Water, and Fire here, and Heart.
we just need wind.
We just need wind.
And we can create the Sorcerer Captain Planet team.
I wonder what they would summon, really, though.
With your powers combined, we summon... an Elder one.
Elder, but we just have an air elemental on the team. It's not actually like a person. It's just like, there wasn't an air sorcerer, so we just recruited him there.
No. You summon a Dryad.
Dryad would be not air-based, though.
Well, you don't have to have air-based.
You have to have air.
Well, no, if you have an air sorcerer, if they came up with an air sorcerer, their powers combined, they summon a Dryad.
Dryads aren't that powerful. They summon something ridiculous. I don't know.
An Elder one?
There is no Elder Dryads. There's just Dryads.
Oh, like an Elder creature.
I don't know. It'll be silly whatever they summon.
Some Cthulhuian.
Cthulhuian. They're not going to summon Cthulhu. Johnny. Hi, Scott. Say hi to Scott.
Hi, Scott. Whoever you are.
Join us next week. It's Dalek Master. A Johnny. They summon a Johnny. Yes. Oh, Johnny on the team. It's a good suggestion. So the Captain Planeteers of of sorceries. I like it.
Yes.
They're just like, we need something air. What do we got? A Johnny. That works.
Woohoo!
No, I like the origins that they put out with here. I think the Favored Soul is one of my favorites just because I did like the idea of the class back in 3.5 just as an option. But I think the Sea Sorcery is a very cool one, especially if you're doing a sea-based game. The Phoenix one is not bad if you're doing like a damage-based sorcerer. I think that'd be neat. And in the Stone one, I feel like if you're doing a sorcerer that specializes, which I'm unfortunately not as 100% familiar with the entire spell list, but I feel like you could still probably specialize in spells which are more probably
Earth-based?
Well, not earth-based. Maybe either defensive or enhancement-based. I don't know if they have the same selection as wizards do anymore, or if they're just a lot of attack spells. But
No, they do have defensive ones too.
Maybe that's what you could specialize in.
Yeah. Or, like I said, it might be a good one if you're trying to do, like, kind of a cross-class thing of a fighter and sorcerer.
I feel like maybe I want to cross-class with something else, because the fighter gives you the martial weapons proficiency and stuff, too.
Well, I mean a fighter type character.
A fighter type, that's
not
true.
necessarily a fighter, but...
That's true, but something that could take advantage of the fact that you have martial weapon proficiency and shields.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is something that, you can be an upfront fighter, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the class fighter.
Gotcha.
And it seems to be going towards dwarf. I feel that's very dwarfish.
There's reasons why it feels very dwarfish.
I don't know why Earth-based anything would feel dwarfish.
You are speaking crazy speak. Crazy speak, my friend. Crazy speak.
Dwarves and Earth don't go together at all. They totally would be the air sorcerer.
Yes. The air sorcerer. I want to see the air sorcerer dwarf now, actually. That would be hilarious. Explaining why he's all a master of air instead of stone.
I lived on top of the mountain instead of inside it.
Don't ask me. Why don't we move on to talk about warlocks, because they have some otherworldly patrons. They have 2 of them, and they have a list of Eldritch invocations, which the invocations are their special powers. So it's like a list of more powers, and then we'll move on to, of course, wizard after that. But why don't we start with the patrons? First off is Hexblade. Now Hexblade, again, a 3.5 class, which they've adapted to it. Which the entire idea of is you have a sentient magic weapon forged from stuff from Shadowfell, and you're bonded with it. It gives you a bunch of spells. You get proficiency in a lot of stuff. Our medium armor, shields, martial weapons. That's really good.
Yeah.
You gain a Hexblade curse, like their predecessors were, like a Baleful curse you can put on your opponents. And you can
turn into a hound of pure darkness. Shadow hound.
Mm-hmm. Well, your shadow turns into it, because you make your shadow into a monster.
Yes.
Yep. You get armor of the hexes whenever your curse target
hits attack roll. Roll a d6 on a 4 or higher. The attack instead misses you.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, so you miss me 50% of the time because I cursed you.
Curses.
And the thing is, like, the Master of Hexes at 14th level, when you don't need a rest to regain it, you can just do it to a new target, and it would end on the old one. Yeah. You can just switch your target around. Granted, it's a bonus action anyway.
Yeah. So it's just.
At 14th level, you can just, switch it as you need every turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have the Raven Queen.
The Raven Queen was an interesting one, because it also... both of these are Shadowfell based. The Plane of Shadows.
Yeah.
And the Raven Queen is like a patron from there. Like, basically one of the rulers of that realm. And as a warlock, you're receiving, like, powers from her. Okay, so you get extra... Both of them get you extra expended spell lists. Hers, like, the Hexblades, both of them get Cone of Cold. That's interesting.
Yes. Well, Plane of Shadows, you would think would be kind of cold.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So you get a Sentinel Raven with you.
That can give you dark vision while it's perched on your shoulder.
And also, apparently, it basically watches over you. So when you're sleeping, you can have a Raven watching over you.
Yes, because it doesn't require sleep.
Yep.
It can awaken you from sleep as a bonus action, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah. Yep, that's kind of interesting. You also have Soul the Raven, which you can merge it with you, and you can use your you can replace your speed with the Ravens, and you can use your action only to do certain things. I mean, that's interesting one.
Yeah.
That one, you can become the Raven and basically move around. It basically gives you, like, I transform into a Raven and fly around.
Yes. Good for scouting.
Yeah.
Raven's Shield, you get resistance to necrotic damage, you're immune to the frightened condition.
And advantage on death saving
throws.
Yeah.
And Queen's right hand, though, is pretty
Finger of Death.
Awesome. You get Finger of Death. I mean, at 14th level, Finger of Death.
I mean,
you can only do it once per long rest, but you're getting a free Finger of Death.
You technically are getting a free Finger of Death. So you're just like...
Who doesn't want that? I mean, Matt, if someone came up to you and said, here, have a free Finger of Death, wouldn't you take...
I guess you could technically go with it. I mean,
as long as they're not trying to poke you with it.
If you kill someone with it, you get them as a zombie permanently under your control. It does a lot of damage, too.
Hey, look, I got a zombie dragon.
It's humanoid.
Aw.
I know. Womp womp tears.
I got a zombie king.
Okay, so they, of course, then have come out with a bunch of Eldritch evocations. Now, they have mentioned that a lot of them are... I think most of them are linked to specific packs you have to take. So that's one thing. Okay, so they're more specific. But, like Burning Hex here. As a bonus action, you can cause the target cursed by your Hexblade curse to take fire damage equal to your charisma modifier. If I like a charisma, it's like I get an extra 3 damage on a guy a turn. It's really good. And there are a lot of other ones in here. I'm not going to go over all. Ooh,
Path of the Seeker!
Yes. They specifically...
I'm sorry.
I know, they named it after you.
Woohoo! It's not hugely great, but it's pretty cool. Seeker bids you to travel in search of knowledge and can prevent you from wailing this path.
Excuse me, pardon me. Mm-hmm. I was yawning a bit there.
Your difficult terrain. Have advantage on all checks to escape a grapple, manacles, or rope bindings, and advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed.
It's actually pretty cool. I mean, the thing is, all the Warlock Eldritch invocations have been really cool from the ones I've seen.
Ooh, Seeker Speech. Hey, I'm sorry, they have my last name in it. I have to freaking mention it.
Yeah, you get 2 languages. You can choose to read, speak, and write the languages. When you complete a long rest, you can switch your languages.
That's cool.
Just like 2 of them.
Well, that's still cool because if you're in a situation you're going to be going into a territory of like certain creatures that you don't normally speak their language, you'd be like, I totally know that.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I agree. It's really cool. Nah, I mean, there's a good flavor to them already. Yeah. So I think I'm not going to go over all of them, and I've only sort of briefly read through them. So judging if they're super great in the long run for an adventure is kind of hard to do. But they look really cool.
Yeah. And then there's also arcane traditions. They've expanded on those.
Yeah, they have one more. They have the Lore Master, which is, I think, a Lore Mastery. It's basically the Lore Master prestige class that has been in a lot of
at second level, you actually get Lore Master.
Yeah, you make your Lore Master. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it really is. It does call it Lore Master. Yeah, yep. So they get spell secrets, which they can change the elements of spells, it looks like.
Oh, he's got it. You got it up there, right?
Yeah, first, as an additional first level spell slot, you can increase the spell's raw force. If you roll damage for the spell when you cast it, increase the damage against every target by 2d10 force damage.
Which ability is that?
That's under altering spells.
Oh, the altering spells. Oh, okay.
Or no, alchemical casting. I'm sorry. It's under alchemical casting. That's where
yeah, that's actually really good.
So you get that additional second level spell slot. You can increase the spell's range. If the spell's range is at least 30 feet, it becomes 1 mile.
Oh, the prestigious memory is pretty good too. As a bonus action, you can replace one spell you've prepared with another from your spell book. And a short rest replaces that. You can get it back. But that's also like, well, what did I need today that I didn't have? Bam, I got it now.
Yes. And then at 14th level, you get Master of Magic. Your knowledge of all magic allows you to duplicate almost any spell. As a bonus action, you can call to mind the ability to cast one of your choice from any class's spell list. The spell must be of level of which you have spell slots. You mustn't have it prepared, and you follow the normal rules for casting it, including expending a spell slot. If the spell isn't a wizard spell, it counts as a wizard spell when you cast it. The ability to cast a spell vanishes from your mind when you cast it.
Yes.
Or your current turn in.
Yes.
You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest.
You probably didn't need to read off the entire thing, but okay.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. I like it a lot. That one, I think they have versatility. That's what they have a little bit more of. They have a little bit more versatility. Even amongst that, wizards have versatility. I've always felt like a wizard is more of a versatile class. This is even more.
Yeah.
No,
that's kind of seems to be like the thing between the sorcerer stuff and this stuff is they've been adding more versatility for characters.
Yeah. No, I've liked all these unearthed arcana. I don't think any of them are particularly terrible from the list that they have.
And I don't think any of they're definitely not. I don't think any of them are overpowered. There are some that are on the weaker side that we have discussed in the past that are kind of like, okay.
And unless we would have a lot of play testing of them, we can't really judge how powerful they stack up to other classes anyway. But they seem reasonable is the thing, you know. Which is what you expect from wizards, though, technically.
Yeah, they definitely did a well-balanced with them.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend checking them out, definitely. Maybe even get either if you're a DM, maybe allowing someone to try them out, or if you want to be a player, go ahead and try them out too. Because I mean, these are really cool. I kind of want to like experience them a little bit more. I love the arcana. I'll probably put it in a link to the VOD. But I'll try to remember to. Someone put together all the unearthed arcana into like book format. So that looks, it's like the PHB, but it's all the unearthed arcana. It's really cool. I should try to remember to link that to the VOD. I'm not going to remember to do that. I'd have to look up the link anyway. It's probably in my Twitter feed because I think I retweeted it. But why don't we move on to what we're going to talk about it's more fantasy role-playing, of course. Pathfinder has released a player's companion, Heroes of the High Court. So we're not going to discuss the book directly. We're going to discuss what the book is introducing. The escapades of royal courts and noble houses, and you dressing and acting in high society and having adventures in high society.
Yes.
Yes, they have, like, archetypes introduced, of course, like the Court's Fool Bard, and the Butterfly Blade Slayer who performs the Noble's Work in the Shadows.
Ooh.
Special equipment built for around being in noble courts, and of course feats, traits, and spells that'll help you mingle with nobility.
Yes.
Miss, snooty. Let me sip my tea with my pinky out.
We must have some balls, though.
I don't know where you're going with that one.
Royal balls.
Oh.
I mean, I could go to the song. My balls are always bouncing from the left and to the right.
Please don't. There may be children present. I am not sure. There's the possibility that there are children present.
Thank you, AC/DC.
So this is interesting because you have adventures where you deal with kings and nobles and such, but this is focusing on adventures in the court, it seems like, which is something I've never really run, but I've thought about doing stuff related to it, but never actually dove into running it.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do some political intrigue with it.
No, political intrigue would be very cool adventures. Definitely there's some... I know that Paizo has put out some of the adventures. I forget which one it is. I think it's... Curse of the Crimson Throne involves a lot of political intrigue. But I don't know if it's the same degree as this one. But I'm thinking because they released their compilation similar to Rise of the Rune Lords for that one, maybe that's why they put this one out. Because that was sort of their early attempt at political intrigue, and this is their more up-to-date version of it.
Yes. I mean, you've definitely had some characters that would fit into those kind of places.
Oh my god, my evil politician bard would have been perfect in political intrigue.
Yes.
My arcane duelist would have been wonderful in this sort of societies, where I'm giving, like, impassionate speeches inspiring people to different things. Because we
could also have a certain NPC child character give an impassioned speech.
That was just a random D20 roll.
That
was happenstance.
But that was great. Sorry.
That was James in happenstance, getting a child to be like the hero of a town, getting a fake artifact back there, convincing everybody it's a real artifact that's going to protect them, and inspiring the town somehow with it. It's the dumbest but most wonderful thing ever. He has a skill of coming up with really stupid ideas that sometimes have great consequences.
And the people doing the smart idea failed horribly.
I found that hilarious, personally, just because it was like...
It's like, we're going to do the smart thing. Well, I'm going to go do this weird subplot, random travel thing that shouldn't work at all. Let's see who wins.
Random subplot, apparently. Because random subplot can get some really good rolls. And the people doing reasonable things get, like, 8s.
Yeah. The rogue rolled very well to try to encourage the crowd on my speech. I just did a horrible speech.
But she was just assisting you in trying to get the crowd there. She wasn't she wasn't using like a diplomatic means. She was using some other thing too.
But she had a great roll for that, and I had a really crappy roll.
So people were like, "Well, that was a great thing. I'm leaving."
Yeah. It's like, oh, that was interesting. Okay. Oh, look, some random person brought back what they say is an artifact. We totally believe that.
Oh. The adventures you guys have. We'll see if we can continue tonight, because hopefully we'll have the players for it. Luck.
Oh my god, an actual game?
I know, my god. The past couple of months of, like, Saturdays have been terrible. Let's hope we're back to normal.
Yes.
But anyway, let's get back to High Court. I think this is an interesting one because, I mean, dealing with the political intrigue game is something that I think would be really fun. And we just don't do it, technically. So that's one of those things about it, is we don't have these political intrigue games, which would be awesome to play. I would love to do more political intrigue. I don't know how good I'd be at running it, because, that's a good question. Playing in it, I think I could do pretty well, because I did my bard that was very much a politician, a noble.
I think you could do. I think you could play it very well. Not that I don't think you could run it well, but you definitely could play it really well.
Well, the thing is, like, it's. I feel like sometimes I do have trouble when it comes to a lot of NPCs at once, and that does fall apart for me. Granted, haven't had as much experience with that lately, so maybe my new, training over the past couple of years has gotten me back to a point where I could do it a little better. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it might come up.
Intriguing.
Miss. Pinky out, sipping tea.
Anyway.
So I think that's a really interesting book that's come out, and it does feel like it's an interesting take on the entire gaming scene. A different sort of setting than a lot of people actually focus on. And I think it would be interesting to have a game focused on that, regardless of the system you're in.
Yes.
Let's move on, and I do want to talk about 3 RPGs that have had major releases, well, within the past couple of weeks. Why don't we start with, well, Conan. Conan the RPG. Alright, so apparently there had been, like, a Kickstarter for it that was successful. Come on, I want to see how successful it was. Very successful. Very successful back last year. They got nearly 10 times the amount that they had for a goal.
Wow. That is definitely impressive.
Mm-hmm. And so they've released the first adventure and the player's handbook for the Conan RPG system. Okay. Let's go to Conan product line. So the core product line, like the main source book is like out, and I guess the first adventure is what we have so far. They're basing it on a 2D20 system, it looks like. It's canonical with the Conan stories. So they're using the original stories.
They have actually a lot of the original artists and stuff for it too, it looks like.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, the is illustrated by world-renowned Conan artists. It has all-star and they try to keep with the Robert E. Howard authorities, because I guess he's dead. I don't know.
He was born in 1932.
Okay, yeah, that means there's a good... It's not impossible. He can still be alive, but there's a good chance he's passed away. Or he's just old.
Yes. Well, let's see. I will check that out while you continue talking about it.
Yes. Oh. No, he died. He died.
That's what I was just looking up. I said, you continue talking about it. I'll look it up.
I'm sorry. I had to look it up, too.
You could have just kept talking about it.
He died in 1936.
Yes. He's been... Oh, he was born in 1906.
Yeah, he was 30 years old when he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder how many Conan books...
Oh, and in 1932 is when he wrote Conan.
So for the last couple years of his life, he was writing, I guess, along with it, Conan.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even know Conan was still a huge thing, so that kind of surprised me.
I've seen some stuff on it, but I think it's like, especially because they were going to do some kind of movie related to it again. It's been on the agenda, and I think there are comic book series.
Yeah, I just didn't know it was still, like a really big thing. That's all.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm not as familiar with 2D20 systems, is my confession. I have very little experience with them. So, I mean, I couldn't tell you how the system's going to work at all. Especially because, again, very little experience with it. But it's got character generation, game rules, and materials for the actual setting. A lot of it. And that's cool with the core book, because, and of course they do have that first adventure sort of out.
Yes.
That they came out with it. I don't know how if it was gonna be a long-term adventure or it was going to be just a single adventure. That I didn't see. Let me see if I can find it. Which one has actually been released, because their actual website of the company that released it hurts my brain a lot.
Mofidius.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do have their store.
Yeah.
Let's see. So in their store for Conan, they have Jeweled Thrones of the Earth Adventure PDF, the core rulebook PDF. Apparently, they're a British company because everything's in pounds. So that looks like they only have those 2 books right now, actually.
And the thing is, there has been a Conan role-playing game system previously by Mongoose Publishing. Apparently had done something.
Okay. Yeah. So right now they just have the adventure path and the base core book done.
Yeah.
And you can get them in PDF form. It doesn't look like you can get them in actual book form yet.
Yeah, here it is. Okay. So this is the latest Conan out. It's technically Conan, an adventure in an age undreamed of. And I think this is like the most in tune with the actual Conan system. There were 2 games before that. There apparently TSR, which I just read, did a Conan game back in the 80s. And there was one from 2004 to 2010. Oh, and GURPS did a Conan back in the 80s too.
GURPS.
Yeah, we all know GURPS. Well, we know of GURPS. Neither of us has actually any experience with GURPS, but we know of GURPS.
Well, we have experience when it comes to stuff they've come out with for D&D.
That's true.
Which has normally been really overpowered.
No, that was White Wolf.
Was it White Wolf? I thought GURPS did some overpowered stuff too.
I don't know, but we didn't use any of their stuff because GURPS was more... that was Steve Jackson Games that was doing that.
Okay.
White Wolf was doing Sword and Sorcery, which was
where... Well, no, we looked up stuff for GURPS before, and it was just like, yeah, that's overpowered.
It might have happened.
Sure, back in the day, it was just like, we looked it up, and it's just like, that stuff's really kind of, like, game-breaking at times.
It could have been, is the thing I could say about it. But it's hard to say.
At least, like I said, from what I remember.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So it does look like this is an interesting one. I mean, it's like, I like the original Conan movies, and the world itself is kind of cool. Conan the Adventurer, the animated series, that was awesome. I liked that a lot. I don't know how accurate that was. It probably was pretty inaccurate. I'm guessing, just because I think the actual world of Conan would be a lot more adult. I'm sure. But that doesn't mean anything, I guess.
I never really got into Conan stuff, so I am unsure completely.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things about it. Again, it's like I know Conan the Adventurer, the animated series, and that's my big thing about it. And then like the original 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yes.
Those were the really big ones which kind of come to mind on Conan's existence, you know? So, but it's been expanded a lot since he was created by Robert E. Howard, is the thing. Yeah. There's been a lot, like, I think other authors have worked on his work and done stuff too. So it's hard to say, like, all the information about it at this point in time. Because, I mean, that was 1930s. So, it certainly is an interesting setting, I'll say, from what I know about it. And so I can see it being a great setting for a role-playing game. So it looks cool. They got original artists. 2D20 system seems neat. You know, heck, this one I think is one I can sort of get behind a little bit. Conan RPG. I mean, again, you can get the core book now if you're really interested in it. And if you are either a fan of Conan or know someone that's a fan of Conan, maybe you want to try it out. It's a different type of fantasy. I guess it's a darker fantasy. Maybe that's a great way of putting it, because it usually seems to be a lot like, wizards are usually evil sort of thing, and do bad things. Sorcery is traditionally associated with bad people. And, it's all a lot about, sword against sword kind of adventures. So.
Yeah. No, definitely interesting. Well, keep an eye on it.
Yes, definitely keep an eye on it. All right. Why don't we move on to the next one, and let's talk a little bit about Synthicide, because this one is part of 2 sci-fi role-playing game systems that have basically come out with their core books that you can at least get them in PDF now. I think for Synthicide you can pre-order the hardcover if you really want a hardcover book, but they're sci-fi systems. Synthicide's interesting because there's a plague, humans basically in the outer rim of the Milky Way, and robots, like a cult of robots, take over and basically treat humans as second-class citizens. And the object is that you're a group of free roamers that are willing to both, because it's named after Synthicide, killing of one of the holy automatons, so you're willing to do that, you're part of a gang or something, a free criminal agent going against the corrupt and powerful machine cult. It seems cool. That's what I'm saying about it,
Right.
I don't know if you can necessarily not, if you just have to play a human or if you can play a robot or something. It's hard to say, just because I haven't seen a whole mess of it. You look at the character sheet. That's cool. 7 stats. Action points, battle reflexes, defenses. Psychic powers are a possibility. Always those are cool. Yeah. Seems like a cool selection of stuff for a futuristic game. I like it, kind of. But this is definitely a... what's the way I'm going to say? It's an interesting take on a spacefaring game, I'd say, because it is spacefaring, for one thing, and it's sci-fi. So it's a dark, hostile sci-fi setting. I mean, if you're playing a Star Wars, is again, I call it traditionally most of them are hostile sci-fi settings, but I wouldn't call it dark. I call that old, because Star Wars always has this worn-in galaxy kind of feel to it,
Right.
So I feel that's an entirely different type of adventure, though it's a similar setting, I'd say. You're still space traveling, you're still visiting planets, you're still dealing with stuff in space, regardless of which of the 3 versions you take. I think it's what you can be either Force user, smuggler kind of person, or rebel, probably, I think are the 3 types of adventures set in the latest Star Wars system.
Can you be a rebel without a cause, though?
Probably. But Action Rules Codex, based on ability-based rules set. I don't know what kind of dice system it is, though. It's the only thing I can't find out about Synthicide.
Gotcha. Let me see. Is it SY or CY?
SYNTHICIDE.
I will do some research if you want to continue talking about anything else.
It appears actually to be a single D10 system.
Well, every time I'm going to do research, what happens?
Do more research. I just got a quick battle reference guide. I just got to a quick reference battle guide.
I'm like...
Well, it's like you roll a single D10. You roll a D10 a single time. So it's okay. So it's going to be a D10 system, but it's a different D10 system than, let's say, White Wolf.
Right.
Besom is a 2D6 system, while Shadowrun is a pure D6 system, meaning you roll a lot of D6s.
Oh, they definitely have some different
or would it be multi
stats.
D6? Oh yeah. Oh my.
It's a
those
different
stats.
stat system: awareness, combat, toughness, influence, operation, nerve, and speed.
Oh yeah, they have definitely a really interesting set of attributes that or stats. You know, that just makes it different. Very interesting. They have like the thing is like I'm not gonna use the character sheet to dive necessarily deep into their lore of character. You know, that's the only thing I can say about it.
Right.
Because that's not gonna help. But the fact is, I find it a very interesting system in and of itself. And apparently,
it definitely looks interesting.
apparently you have an action points. I'm in the quick reference battle guide, and like different action points for different things. So you have a certain number of action points, I guess, and you spend those to do different things, to either attack or move, or do second attacks, third attacks, things like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the quick reference thing too.
Yeah.
Move, attack, second, third, guard, use power, defend, gain advantage, keep watch, stealth, or other.
No, it looks really interesting as a system, and that's an interesting thing about it. That knowing a little bit about the setting, but looking at the system itself, we find the system interesting.
Yeah,
that's a true mark, I think, of like a person that likes. Well, that's the thing is like for me, as much as I like a good actual role playing session and playing in the character, I also love a good system. You know, the mechanics are also like it's the mathematician in me. What can I say? The mathematician in me loves a good system.
So, for character stuff, I'm looking at there's bio classes, which this decides the level of your cybernetic enhancements you have.
Mm-hmm.
You're a skin bag, scrap head, hard shell, or plug fiend. Upgrades, universal voice character may advance in psychic powers, attack skills, tactical maneuvers, knowledge focuses, and specialization in these powers, or be a jack of all trade. Aspect, upgrade. You are basically like, are you a scoundrel leader kind of thing? Grunt. Mutations. Were you born this way, or does the mutant heritage slowly reveal itself? Mutations affect all walks of life. So it kind of seems like in the realm of like cyberpunk,
Yeah,
those type of games.
because cyberpunk is usually a little darker anyway.
Yeah, but what I'm saying with the bio classes, mutations, and stuff like that, those are all things that I've experienced with Cyberpunk, which was the first role-playing game I ever played.
But
so it's always kind of in my heart for that kind of thing.
yeah, it definitely takes up a portion that you're familiar with, and therefore you're more understanding of this setting a little bit too. So that's interesting. And definitely, I think the basic setting as we know it seems cool. It's humanity's on the outskirts. Basically, machines rule to a degree. They're like religious based, which is really kind of weird. But I can see that happening. As if a robot forms its own religion, when it becomes sentient,
Yeah,
that can happen when you get that, like, some kind of intelligence or something.
Oh, they even have tools for your PC that you could actually do random mission generators, planet generators,
I
and
saw
everything.
That was cool.
So that's and PC. So that's actually and traps. That's really
helpful for basically starting out.
Yeah, when you're first starting, that's really a useful, a great amount of tools that they give you.
And they have a really nice vehicle sheet here too. Like the vehicle quick reference guide is.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I would actually really be interested in trying this system because this is a type of system that I haven't gotten to play in a while.
Yeah,
and I like these type of games. I like the futuristic, sci-fi-ish, aspects with these games. Not that I don't enjoy a good, D&D style games and stuff like that as well, but it's nice to try to change things up a bit, and this definitely does.
I might have to add it to the list of sort of things, like when I'm going to do more like when I finally get games started on the chat, the Twitch here live streaming of. Maybe that's something I also want to add in, doing like little one sessions with these other unique or a couple or small, missions, like 2 or 3 sessions with these different types of settings. That might be cool to try out.
Yeah, I would definitely be up for trying the Synthicide one. This looks really interesting, and $22 for the base PDF isn't too bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Well, again, we can put it on the list of interesting ones that we should probably check out then.
Yes.
So why don't we move on to the last one I did want to talk about, Fragged Empire. All right, so
when I first heard this, I thought about the board game.
I have now in front of me the 33-page preview. Hopefully this will help. Okay. So it's setting up that it's 10,000 years in the future. Earth's forgotten. Humanity is dead.
Oh no!
You're one of the many genetically enhanced descendants created by these group, humanity's heirs, the Archons. So I'm guessing a race that basically succeeded humanity for whatever reason. But apparently you're also either descended from them or from another group, and there was a genocidal war, which the Zions won, killing the Archons, destroying their empire, abandoning their armies to vanish without a trace. 100 years of brutal tribalism in the galaxy. Your people have just re-entered space. You're basically descendants of one of those 2 races. So 4 surviving races have banded together. So I'm guessing, the Xeon won, but since that threw everything into basically chaos, they didn't really win.
Right.
And so now there's 4 races. So that's kind of cool.
3D6 system.
Okay, so it's a 3D6 system. That's cool.
Yeah, skill rolls are done with 3D6 plus or minus bonus or penalty versus difficulty value of target's defense.
Okay, so this is a slightly different system. It's a D6 system, but 3D6. We're post a Great War. It's the reemergence of these races. It looks like. Here appears to be the races. The corporation, which were created by the Archons. They appear to have been treated more. They actually act more like a corporation. They have a very national sense. They basically have made themselves into a corporate entity. There's the Calatorians, who were born with the genetic memories of their ancestors. But they struggle to be themselves in amongst those memories. That's an interesting sort of take on things. The Legion, which was more, I guess, the warlike race created by the Archons to fight their losing battle. So they're all more about, duty, honor, soldier type of characters. And the Nephilim, they're descendants of the Xeon's army, and their junk word used to describe the diverse descendants of them. So the other 3 look to be more like Archon descendants, and the Nephilim are the Xeon descendants.
Right.
And they use biotechnology, it looks like.
Character sheet's really interesting.
I have to find that character sheet.
I have it right here. So your base attributes are strength, reflex, movement, focus, intelligent, perception, and then something called fate.
Okay, so it is a 20 level system.
I'm also seeing that it's a what they consider a non-linear progression system. Characters have a pool of options available to them with no set ability or equipment progression paths. This allows the character to quickly specialize or diverse and create a unique combinations of ability and equipment. Choose any path you want: cunning, mercenary, black market smuggler, archaeologist, treasure hunter, fighter pilot, or power mad scientist.
Yeah, okay. I feel like this system definitely pertains well to being I feel like the system itself is similar to something like a White Wolf or a Shadowrun in basically the way it's built, that you have a number of attributes and then you have skills and then you have special abilities.
Right. One of the things I like that they added in, which is something I did with the game I wrote, is they actually account for like what you do with your spare time and stuff. As like one of the things they have as an example, are you a gunsmith who likes to modify and trick out their latest toy, during their off time? Which is something I built in my system of you could upgrade abilities and stuff by spending your spare time out of game working on.
Oh no, this is cool too. They don't dive into depths about it, but apparently you can also be psionic or a robot. That's kind of cool too. So it's like, I'm guessing you're a robot from one of those races.
Right.
So that I don't know how it would work totally, because this is really like, I'm looking at the preview of the player's handbook, which the art looks cool though too.
Ooh, they even have ambient. They even have a whole section of ambient radio that you can play in the background.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, the races all like have this unique feel to them, definitely, and I like the looks of the art they have for these. The entire like feeling of it, because it is like.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing.
Oh, this would be a cool one to play too, but this is like a totally different kind of game, I think, too.
I really, really am liking a lot of the aspects of this. I'm looking at, they have a sample adventure PDF. And the handouts for it and everything are freaking really well done. Like, they have a handout of the it's the Ghost Ship of Carthage is the name of the free adventure path they have, and the handouts are really good. So I really can appreciate this game.
Yeah. Yeah, the setting is really cool. That, like, you've, as much as the other setting about Synthicide is cool too, this one also is. It's an entirely different take, but I feel like this is more high fantasy in space, almost, you could call it. Because this one feels more like you're just people going out exploring a lost place where you might find old civilizations or things, or dealing with these other races that, are out there. So this is completely like a different type of setting entirely, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Both of these are really cool, because this is sort of like post-apocalyptic, yet it has a lot of those tensions of like what you'd find in like a Pathfinder or D&D, where yes, you have this like, you've post-apocalyptic has led to this place, you've got these remaining cultures which are at odds with each other still because of their legacies, but then it's sort of like you have a universe out there to now explore, and adventure in.
I would say if we were to do this, the sample adventure PDF that I'm looking at probably could be a 1 to 2 session thing.
So that would be a cool one to do too.
So if we wanted to try this, we could do it pretty much for free almost, just to sample the system and see if it's something we'd be interested in doing a longer version of.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's really smart on their part that they did something like this.
That you can basically create a basic character, maybe not something with the complexity that you'd need the core book to get, but enough that you could play something very simply in the system.
And apparently this is an Australian company.
Well, that's cool.
The reason I the reason I'm guessing that, I haven't really looked, but everything is in AUD, which I believe is Australian dollars.
I believe you are correct, good sir.
So this is an Australian company. The other one was a British company, so.
Well, that's the thing is, with the globalization, definitely people have been coming up with some really great ideas for things along the way. So, they have a rules video that would help you out. That's cool too.
They have a lot of content that you can use for free. And wow, I'm actually looking at their store right now. Well, they offer through Drive-Thru RPG, which seems to be a lot of these sites offer stuff through there. They have a lot of stuff. They had the core rulebook, quick start rules, Antagonist Archive 1, Protagonist Archive 1. They have a bunch of adventures actually already done. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 adventures done. They have audio tracks you can buy. So, I mean, wow.
Yeah. I don't know when the campaign ended, but I went to their Kickstarter for their last thing, and they had that was their protagonist archive and miniatures came out through this, and they got about double what they wanted, but they are definitely Australian.
Yeah,
because
their
go
ahead.
Their $2 pledge is g'day.
Their most expensive book is their protagonist archive, which is $24.
Okay, it's hard for me to tell how much they are because it's in Australian dollars.
Drive-through RPG, they actually have it in dollars.
Gotcha. That helps.
So, I'm sorry, $25 is the most expensive one. I'm wrong. It was the Fragged Empire reference PDF. That's the most expensive one. But still, the most expensive book is $25. That's not bad. The music tracks are only $2 for the one and $12 for the other one, which is 8 ambient songs. Oh, the $2 one is actually just a collection of short stories. Set in the Fragged Empire universe.
That's cool.
So you could listen to that and get an idea of how they envision the setting being.
Yeah.
So you can kind of run it that way. That's really cool that they offer those short stories too.
No, yeah, I agree with you. That's very cool. No, they have some great stuff for this system. I like it a lot. It's definitely a very interesting system that, again, if we can finally get Treasure Lost Legion up and organized, which I'm hoping in the next week or two I can finally start tormenting people and to get them into joining. I'm basically going to start bothering a lot of folks, like extra folks too, and try to get those last couple of players. And then we can probably start soon because it's been on delay because of a lot of stuff, and especially because of the holidays.
Which yeah, we got my intro in.
Which shouldn't have been an excuse, but it ended up being one.
Yeah. Well, and then January you had the week down in Texas.
And that crapped out like 3 weeks worth of my time anyway, a week worth of cramming to get ready for it. And then, oh wait, I'm not quite ready for afterwards because I needed to be ready afterwards too. And guess what? Wasn't quite prepared for that. So it did really end up hurting 3 weeks. So why don't we move on though? We can talk about more interesting RPG systems and maybe we will try running these in the future. Sounds like something that'd be really cool to do.
Agreed.
Why don't we move on to I want to talk about the Investigators of Arkham Horror book. Now this is an interesting release by Fantasy Flight Games. They released a big novel book on Tales of Adventures and Madness in the Arkham Files universe. It has more information about all the different investigators you can play. It's a big hardcover, a lot of art in it. They're showing off that it's filled with art based upon their artwork. And it's about their version of the Arkham Horror Files games, actual Arkham Horror, Elder Sign, Mansions of Madness. It has, as I said, it has information on the adventurers, backstory on the mythos, I guess, of the Cthulhian mythos and the strange creatures, and a couple of short stories involving these characters, telling you why they would get involved in it. So not only do we have the backstory of these characters, you have little short stories that would be oh, this the Private Eye character, this is why he'd be involved in this.
Right.
It seems so interesting, but here's the big thing I want to say about it. Is it really something we need?
It's interesting, but really, no?
Yeah, I think if you're a really, really big fan of it, I can see getting behind it, definitely. If you're a big fan of all these games and the world they build. And especially because this is definitely, it's a Lovecraftian universe. And it's not quite Lovecraft. It's something because they've based their games on Lovecraft and made their own thing. It's based upon those games. So it's information based on those games. And I can't say that story isn't cool, especially for a game like this. Especially because it is a very story-centric, story-heavy game. But it's oftentimes you're telling that story in your gameplay.
Right.
You know? And so it's like, if you think about it, really, if I'm playing just a classic Elder Sign game where I'm exploring that museum, every one of my little adventures I go on is technically like a page in a story. Oh, it's I go into this room and encounter this thing there. Well, that's the story of me encountering it for that.
Right.
So it's sort of like, I like it, but I don't think I would get it personally, you know?
Right. It's interesting, but
I can see people getting it. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Just because, you know, I have 2 different games set in this universe. I have the original Arkham Horror. I have Elder Sign. Heck, we have actually a couple friends who own Mansions of Madness, which is also a wonderful one in that. But the full book, hardcover book, I don't know. It's a 264-page hardcover book. I think it's hardcover from the looks of it. Probably with the cover like that, it's got to be, and the shape like that. It looks a lot like the Pathfinder book or the D&D book.
Gotcha.
It's interesting. That's the best way I can describe it. It's interesting, but I'm kind of torn between it, because I would love to like read through it and see some of this stuff, because, you know, these stories of these characters you play, will they put a little like information about them on the backs of these cards and stuff like that? Those I always find interesting, because it helps you establish a little bit more, and I guess it's the role player in me that if I'm taking the role of this character, I'd like to know a little more kind of things sometimes, especially in a game that's going to take a lot of hours and it's going to be more involved.
I'm going to be right back. I must use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead and continue, and I will be back in a moment.
Okay. Emergency restroom break. I mean, the art looks cool, too. I do have to say it. The art looks wonderful. And they have so many pages of it, too. And again, it's this torn that I have. Being torn between the fact that I do like the universe itself, but purchasing it? Really? Because it's the Investigators of Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, and Elder Sign. Because Mansions of Madness, I think, uses the Arkham Horror ones. And I don't know if it's got all of them from all the expansions, too. That's my question. Would it have them from all the, like, if it's all the Arkham Horror expansions, then it's probably going to have all the Eldritch Horror and Elder Sign expansions, because I think they use all the same sort of set of characters over the long run. But it says the Investigators of them. So I am assuming, because they do repeat the Investigators, that it will be there. Learning about the ancient ones might be cool. I don't know how much they say about them, because it does provide the City of Arkham and Cthulhu Mythos information, which again is cool stuff to have. It's tough. I don't think I would buy it. I would love to read it if one of my friends got it, but personally, now that's the thing. I want to have to buy it because I don't have the money. Now, if I had the money, that's a good question. If I had the money to afford getting this as an extra thing, would I buy it? Probably not yet still. Again, it's very cool to learn the stories, but you're building your own story in an Arkham Horror game or an Arkham Mythos game, an Arkham Files. So I feel like you don't need it at all. Exclusive playmat of the Boundaries, chaotic ancient one known as Azathoth. Special prints, 3 preview cards from the Arkham Horror card game. So they're giving you some extra stuff along with it. Arkham Horror, the card game. That's one I hadn't heard about. Is it like a deck building game? I don't know. I kind of guess it is. Huh. I didn't know they were putting out like a deck building game for this one, because that's what it looks more like it is, maybe. More purely card game based. I thought Elder Sign was... Elder Sign is technically a dice game. I have to get that argument against myself. It's a card game, but it's really a dice game. The Arkham Horror itself is a big board game. Eldrakar, I have no idea about. I actually haven't played Eldrakar. Confession time, I haven't played Eldrakar. Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. There's one of them I haven't played, but I don't own it, and no one has bought it. So, of course, I can't play it. Eldrakar is, again, more board gamey. It's different. I think it's a slightly different... Oh, it's the global board game version of it. So, it's Arkham Horror across the world. Gotcha. Rather than just an Arkham. Okay. So, that explains those games. And I can switch. And I think... I don't know if we have any left to chat, but... I guess we have to wait for Joe to get back, so I will see if I can quickly finish up talking about this, and then we can move on to Stories from the Table. Because I do want to handle the Stories from the Table, and then discussing Tabletop, or the Sage Game Advice. I can look up if there's any kind of extra suggestions on our Yahoo, because I'm silly and didn't add it in. Because I'm like that. Excuse me. Yay, signed in. You guys have not emailed us. Okay, thank you. Now, just a reminder, if you do have any important questions you want to ask us for Sage Game Advice, or even if you have a suggestion for something you want us to talk about in Stories from the Table, or something you want us to discuss in just the normal things, you can, of course, always leave it here in the comments of a Discussing Tabletop or a Gathering the Roll episode, like when I put the VODs of this up on YouTube, or you can email us at discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. Any of these 4 ways, you can reach us with this information. We're always good on taking suggestions for topics you want us to talk about that you might want to learn about, answering questions, things like that. Maybe if we talked a little bit about a story and we haven't specified it completely in our previous Discussing Tabletops, Stories from the Table, you want to join in that, which I need to get more guests so that we can get some more stories and we don't run out of them. I have to make sure we don't repeat stories also. Whoop. Excuse me for blowing my nose here a little bit. Let me do it out of the side. Good to go. Alright. So yes, Investigators of Arkham Horror. If you're a big fan of it, excuse me, I definitely recommend you check it out. See if you'd be interested in it, of the Arkham Horror Files game universe, the Cthulhu universe. It'd be really cool. I do not know how much it is off the top of my head, but it's out now. You can check it out. You can get it if you want it. If you aren't interested in it, that's another thing too. Oh, maybe I can find out. Oh, it's $40. $40 on their website. Okay. That makes a difference. That means it's the same price as a role-playing game book. I would much, truthfully speaking, rather have a role-playing game book than that. Sorry, Arkham Horror. As much as you are awesome, I think that stands to be the way that keeps me away. And now I am out of things to say about this topic, and Joe is not here. So why don't I start with Stories from the Table? I can start with my Stories from the Table, and then I can reintroduce the topic to Joe, because he probably doesn't remember. He might still remember. Ooh, was that a little insulting there? Sorry. And from there on, we can move on after that. So this week's Stories from the Table is all about the CCGs we have played, collectible card games we have played over the years. Now, both of us have talked in length about Magic because we played Magic, but I'm going to talk about the ones that I've played that aren't Magic. And I don't want to just talk about ones that I'm familiar with, because I've experienced plenty of CCGs, plenty of them over the years that I would know a little bit about. But I think there's about 3 ones other than Magic I have actually played. And I mean, like, played the actual games of. First off, Spellfire. Of course it's Spellfire. It came out as the second CCG that came out. I played a little bit with my brother, who introduced me to Magic also. He introduced me to Spellfire. We didn't play much past the first core set. I think the first 2 core sets is where we were playing at. So we didn't go beyond that. So I don't have a lot of the cards for the later releases of Spellfire at all, which I guess is unfortunate because I can't display them to the best of my ability. But I will let you guys know now, I am going to have a Spellfire video out this week. It probably won't be out till tomorrow or Monday. That's going to be really late. But I need to set up things for Spellfire because the last 2 Spellfire videos are going to be deck building and sample gameplay. And I didn't think I wanted to do either technically on live stream and put them on VOD, though I might do a random live stream at some unusual time of day if I decide on it. But the setup, I have this camera on me, but I'd have to like angle this camera down or something in order to like see cards, you know, like there's I'd have to like angle that down somehow, and I probably have to set this up with my laptop, which is much worse at streaming. Doesn't stream nearly as well, but I might have to do it to get a second camera. Unless you guys just wanted me to have a camera of the videos while I'm talking to you. I could do that, and I could just use this computer then. Maybe I'll do that. I'm busy today catching up on videos. I just have to make sure I have today's videos out. I have the best in video ready to go, which I'll probably upload after here. I'll probably put out a Civilization video. I'll try to get D&D out at least. I don't know if I can get Shadowrun done before I have to roleplay. So I'm updating you guys now on the schedule beforehand because of Spellfire. But yeah, Spellfire will be out today still. Not today. Oh god, soon. The deck building one will be out soon. I might live stream it. That'll be on. I'll do it live. Haha. That'll work out. And then I'll try to record something for a gameplay fight playing the game. Then and I have to figure out how to set that up that it's going to work too. That'll be interesting. All right, but that's not the only one I played. I played Jihad / Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. Same game, different names, because different editions of the game they changed the name, which is going to be the second one I'm going to talk about as soon as I'm done with Spellfire, and then I get these last 2 episodes out. Then that's what I'm going to have. That's the next one to talk about. I actually played this one. So the first 3 CCGs in existence, I played. Cool me. But yeah, Vampire: The Eternal Struggle has some very interesting rules to it too. Blood point mechanic systems that they had little circular glass beads to use to represent. You can use dice too. But I played that one. That was an interesting one to play. And I can't remember the entire reason behind it. It was like vampire battle system, because your vampires were technically fighting it out. And the final one that no, there's 2 more. Oh, I forgot one. There was a Star Trek, I think it was more Next Generation CCG. Let me see if I can find out information on the Star Trek CCG. Customizable card game? This might have been it. Let's see if I can find out information about it. Images. Yeah, there it is. It's the Star Trek: The Next Generation customizable card game. Oh, hi.
I
welcome.
own that.
You do too. Okay. We've moved on to stories from the table, and I gave my update of my schedule for the week a little bit for videos, but I was talking about a couple CCGs that I'd played other than Magic. I've talked about so far Spellfire, Master of the Magic. I talked about Vampire: The Eternal Struggle / Jihad. I was talking about that I played the Star Child customizable card game. I didn't play a lot of games of it, and it's another thing is these three here, my brother introduced me to all 3 of them.
Gotcha.
So that's the reason I played all 3 of these. But yes.
Yeah, the Star Trek one I haven't played a lot of either, but I do own it.
There you go.
I bought it off of Zach after high school.
Well, you know what? We could always, when I do my videos on that, we could always play against each other for it.
Yes.
I
completely forget the rules, but I have them, so.
There's apparently a World Championship 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was released in '94. Let's see how the latest sets were. I got a 2006 one for Genesis. Second edition, was this a set name? Second edition
I want to be guided.
was released 2002 and went to 2007. So it hasn't really been supported. It's just like Vampire: The Eternal Struggle actually stopped getting major support in the 2000s, mid-2000s. I didn't know this one went on to 2007.
Neither did I.
Yeah. I'm experienced with it back in 94 or around that time.
Yeah, like I said, I bought it off of Zach in high school, so maybe like late 90s, maybe 2000 at the latest.
But even then, it would have been late 90s for you, I think, if you bought him off of high school, because you graduated around 2000. Yeah. So, I mean,
I was the class of the new millennium, even though it technically didn't start in 2001.
Whatever.
Thanks, North Penn High School, for not understanding time.
It's North Penn High School.
Yes, I speak good English because I was educated.
But now we've let them all know where we've been at. Oh no!
Yes, now you may stalk us. Mwahaha.
But apparently in second edition allowed for rules of more than 2 players. Cool. Good to know. I guess it will be on the list of CCGs I will cover. Again, Spellfire should be done soon. I have about 2 more videos I want to do for it, both of which might be live streamed before being put up as VODs.
Ooh.
Yes, deck creation and an actual battle, which I don't know if I will battle against myself or get a volunteer such as yourself, Joe, to do it with me.
$5.
Then probably someone else.
Okay, $2.50.
Again, probably someone else. All right, and then the last game I did, which I have to confess I did. I played it in the early days. I played early Pokemon. Oh yeah, I was there for the first set, the first core, which they did. I was for both releases of it, and I was there for the first 2 expansions. I might have had a little bit of the 3rd expansion, and I tried playing it. I learned how to play it at the time. But the thing is, you have to consider, this is actually a pretty popular CCG still. It's still going now. So it's like, I haven't played it since, like, the release of it back in those days. They've had, like, up-teen billions of releases since then. So no, I have not gone on with it. I tried to, just like I tried back in the day to participate in Magic events, I tried participating in a couple of Pokemon events. I was not a really great deck builder from it. Magic sensibilities don't translate well to Pokemon card game sensibilities. That is the awful truth about it. They do a little bit, but maybe more nowadays, but at least back in those early days, not at all.
Still stop playing with your pocket monsters.
Still own those cards. Haven't gotten rid of them yet.
Stop playing with your pocket monster.
Never. I have a pretty complete collection of those first 3. It was the core set, Jungle and Fossil, I think, were the first 2 expansions that came out. Trying to remember that. Man. Ancient days. They were also a little cheaper than Magic cards at the time, which helped support, purchasing them.
Yes.
So, yeah. Hey, I'm going to look up sets. The first generation sets. Base set, Jungle, Fossil. Base set 2, Team Rocket. I remember Team Rocket. I think that was the one I sort of ended getting. In 2000. So I was playing it a little bit in 2000. Or at least getting some of the cards. By the
Are
end
you blasting off into space again?
No, because by the end of 2000 I stopped.
That is one I have never played, nor will I ever be interested in.
The thing is, I had like a good year, because it was released in 99. So I had a year of being sort of interested in it. and then I just went away from it.
Gotcha.
Yep. Hey, our friend Colin tried Yu-Gi-Oh! He knows how to play it. I would never learn the game. I have all respect those that can do the weird math that they have. The weird math. It's the concept of, why don't you just divide this by 100?
Because we don't want to.
Because I guess technically they can divide things below there, and I've seen stuff that they have divided it down to things like, oh no, it's all of a sudden doing 50.
God.
And the game that I know how to play just because of watching some anime, Card Fight Vanguard. I know how to play it. I haven't watched an episode of it in quite a while because they went on forever.
I could bring up another card game, kind of.
Well, do you have any? Okay, of those CGGs I talked about, which ones have you played?
I've played Star Trek.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So, what other ones have you played, though? Any other CCGs?
Well, I Netrunner's kind of in the CCG.
It's in between a CCG and a card game, I'd say.
Yeah, it's because it comes out in sets, but there are update packs and stuff like that. It's not a true CCG, but that'd be the only other one that really I've played. I haven't really delved into the CCG other than Magic, really.
There's a lot of them too. Is the thing, the amount of CCGs that are out there is staggering.
Yeah, I mean, Munchkin's one of those other ones that is kind of halfway between just a card game and a CCG because they do have like booster packs.
Oh, I completely agree. The amount of material they put out for it, then yeah, it's almost a CCG without being a CCG because you never get actually. There's no trading card part of it because a collectible card game is the
part of it with trading, right?
It's almost the trading card. Like a trading card game and a collectible card game are almost different things, but you associate them to be the same thing. Right.
Yeah, because Magic and the other CCGs we were talking about, those are all trading card games that are also, collectible.
Yeah.
But like Munchkin, Netrunner and stuff, those are collectible card games, but they're not trading card games.
Exactly. So they are unique individuals that the majority of collectible card games are trading card games, except for a new breed of only collectible card games has been coming out. And I think Munchkin was the one that sort of defined that breed of cards.
Yeah. So, I mean, what the heck is the other one? Super Fight. They keep coming out with expansions for it, so that's kind of a collectible. I would call
Super Fight a step down from it because it's like...
Yeah. There's not as much... It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity kind of thing.
Those, I feel, are just expansions to them,
Yeah.
That rather than, making them an own thing
True.
that you might want to collect or something, it just expands the game. There's, I think, the step down from those, but I can see within those the evolution of the collectible card game that's not a trading card game. Definitely,
right.
In the example that they have, it does show the evolution. But the thing is, those kind of games may have existed previous to, or those games themselves might not have existed previous to the evolution of these type of games. It's just these type of games are an evolution from their type of games, which another game might have been an example of. You understand that? That was that was pretty complex. That was really just
basically those kind of games probably existed before collectible, and collectible kind of branched off from them.
Yes.
So they're kind of the ancestor of the collectible card game. But not the future ancestor.
That's just a bad quote.
Yes, I know. That was mine.
I'm
my future ancestor. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense.
Sure it doesn't.
Maybe I'm time traveling. Well, if you time traveled to the future and had a child...
Then that might work, or your head would explode. Or both.
Well, actually, no. I guess you'd have to time travel to the past, had to have a child, and that would be your future... No, I don't know.
Exactly.
Or here you go. If someone tried time travel from the past to the future, and you met them in the future, and you had a child, and they went back to the past, that would be your future ancestor.
Okay.
Convolution! Yay!
Severe amounts of convolution.
And I'm my own grandpa.
That's also accurate.
I don't think it's accurate, but yes.
But no, okay. So unfortunately, it's that there are a lot of card games out there, and I just think like I've had some good experience with them, and you just haven't yet had that experience. So perhaps with these card games as I'm testing them out, and I don't know how many I can actually play for you guys. I could definitely do 3 of these series and actually play them and build decks for you and display these because I own cards from them. After that, I'm unsure of how many I'll be able to do.
You'd be willing to purchase just to do that.
Well, I mean, some of them might be cheap.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about these early lost CCGs, which don't exist anymore. Some of them might be cheap. I could do videos when Pokemon isn't a lost CCG. It's a current CCG, so I have no actual excuse to do that one.
Right. Well, I can think of one other CCG, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
The Gamers 3.
Yes. Yeah, I got...
Which was, I think, based off of real CCG, wasn't it?
Maybe, I'm not sure. But like,
I think it was, and I think it's one of the lesser-known ones.
Yeah, I do technically have... I'd have to find them. Some cards from Illuminati New World Order, which was released by Steve Jackson Games in '94. There's 4 '94 releases I might actually be able to support. But the other ones, one of them, even Wikipedia doesn't have information on. And the other 3, I have never heard about before now. I don't know what Flights of Fancy is, but apparently it was a CCG. Flights of Fantasy or Flights of Fancy? Let me check this again. Flight of Fantasy. CCG. Let's see if I can find... Oh, holy crap. I found information on it. Wow. It was a CCG from the mid-90s in the wake of Magic the Gathering, but failed before it even got started. That's why there's no information on it. And a 90-card set. I could probably do, like, 1 episode on this, just because it's there. I don't even know what the rules are, and I don't know if I'll be able to find them. That's cool. Thanks, BoardGameGeek.com, for having some information about this entire thing's existence.
Yay!
Oh, you can get the cards for Production Complete Gaming card set for $14 plus free shipping. A near mint good condition. Wow. It has the base set of cards. That's $14 to own that one there.
There you go.
The rest of them, well, I will be able to talk a little bit about them. The 4th CCG ever made, Super Deck, Galactic Empires, which actually had sets and expansions up until '96. Good for them. And Dixie, which had, like, I guess a couple, not many, but maybe had a little bit more. Dixie, which was based on the Civil War. It was a Civil War CCG.
Okay.
But regardless, I will talk about all of these. These are easy ones to talk about, because again, 4 of them I have cards for. One of them I've learned I could make a single episode about. 96 has a lot more that came out, many of which have failed. Or don't exist in any degree. So it will be interesting taking my tour of CCGs up into the 2000s and beyond. There's definitely a lot of material for episodes along the way. Also because it looks like CCGs don't come out in any huge amount since 2013. There was only like 2 releases the last 2 years. And Firefox crashed on me. Hasn't interrupted the stream as far as I know because we're still on OBS, but
Yay!
thank you, Firefox, for crashing on me.
It likes you.
Let's check the stream and see how it's doing.
I still see it going, so...
Hey! Yay, it stayed good. Alright, so, let's move on to Gaming Sage Advice and finish out today. It has been an extra long episode for us. This week's Gaming Sage Advice, I thought of a good question to ask, and I decided that the best one to ask this week, because it has been an issue that I've seen in the past, is we've talked about getting players, introducing yourself to new people that might become players. How about this question? Organizing a time to play a game. What do you go about that? What do you go about that as a game master more than as a player? Now, Joe, you had some limited experience as a game master, so I will let you start out with this one and see how you would say about it. Because, again, like, your experience is much more limited than I, so you've actually had an easier idea. Not idea.
Well, when I was running things, it was back in the day when we all had a lot more time.
That's true.
So it was a lot easier because we were just like, oh, we want to do a Friday night game. Okay, here we go. Now, you know, that we have all become adults and have, lots of job time constraints and other things that we do, it's definitely increasingly difficult to find time that we can all agree on that, hey, let's meet up for this game at this time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's one of the things I've been saying is we really need to talk to our players some more and say, look, what day are we, Saturday's been our main day.
Yeah.
Let's set an actual time that we're going to start, and if you can't make it, it's on you to let us know. We shouldn't have to, I don't think the DM should have to constantly be on characters' butts to be like, are you arriving today? What's your time?
Well, that's the only problem.
I know with our group you are that way just because...
I organize it for everyone. I'm the organizer. I organize when any of us are meeting. That's the weird job I've sort of managed to sneak into.
Right, and which is fine, but at the same time, we're adults and people need to be able to own up to, hey, we know this is a scheduled time. This is something we know that we have said we're obligated to do.
Yeah. So
let's be responsible, and if we can't for some reason, be proactive and try to inform you in a timely fashion of, hey, something's come up. I'm not going to be able to make it on this date.
That's definitely but that's a good comment to the entire role-playing thing, but that is like an extension of what I was trying to ask.
I'm sorry.
It was a tangent. I think what it is as a GM, when I'm trying to choose a time, I look to my own schedule when I'm first free. Then I look to my players. I kind of try to ask them, well, I have two ways of doing it. If I know blank, blank, and blank are interested in my game, I go to them and say, like, okay, what kind of timing do you have during your week, et cetera, et cetera. You're my normal people.
Right.
If I'm just trying to fill in the blanks, by the time I get to there, usually I've chosen a day, and I'm like, hey, you, blank, blank, or blank, these other, or dot, dot, and dot, these other three people. I'm like, I need one of you guys. Are you free on this day? And so figuring out a date and time is always a complexity. And
yeah. Well, you have to work around everyone's schedules.
Yeah. That's the thing is you have to work around everyone's schedules, and you have to recruit people that are good for your schedule.
Yeah.
And it's difficult sometimes if you have a limited number of players. It can mean that maybe you're not role-playing every week. It could mean that. It could mean that you have a week where you're just not doing the game. Or you might have to do it every other week. I know, the thing is, we haven't done a lot of role-playing over the past couple of weeks because we were consistently 3 players. 2 of them got into major sort of testing, studying, schooling sort of stuff and schedules that tanked out during winter break.
Right, and our peripheral players have been either working too much or trying to get a job, a certain job that they have to do a lot of training and stuff
Yeah.
for.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is understandable, but it's been really hard because the two normal people were going through testings and stuff and needing to study. We don't have them, and then the peripheral people have pretty much been like completely
Existent.
Yeah, not being able to be available at all. So, it's kind of tanked our schedule completely.
Oh, we've had terrible Saturdays of trying to get people together. So you think it's like, oh, why haven't you started Treasure of the Lost Legion? If I can't roleplay on a Friday with my normal group or a Saturday with my normal group, how the heck am I going to get like this organized with the problems I've been having organizing those? Granted, I guess I've been talking to people online too, and on Twitter, the people I've got communications with, but I've been building up new relationships so that maybe I can start asking these new people that I've been building relationships, which I never have asked.
Right.
Know?
But that comes to the second point is now that we have that as a tool to be able to do remote gaming like this.
Oh yeah. Remote gaming.
That opens up schedules a lot too, because like my boss who has joined in on a session of the one game, he really wants to play more, but because he has a baby, he can't make it out that often. So we're looking at maybe bringing him online, because that way he can pretty much do a steady schedule and not have to worry about trying to find a sitter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple other people I've been bothering to join in a lot. Scott being one of them. Oh, good old Scott Dalerick. Yes, who runs his own D&D games actually over on Lost Initiative, which I like to watch a lot. And I actually, when their VODs go up, I retweet them. But he's talked about that if when I start one shots, he might join in some of those because he doesn't have times for a campaign. But I want to get my campaign started before I start one shot. I don't know if it would be better. Maybe I should start a one-shot day differently than when I'm going to do my campaign day and just see if I can get some people.
Well, what we could do is also, since we're talking about doing it once, was it once a week or once a month that we were talking about doing the campaign?
The campaign was once a week. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be regular. We could
always. Right. Well, the other thing is we can always knock that down to like 3 times a month or twice a month, and then do alternative Sundays as one-shots.
I don't know.
That might be a better thing, and then that way we still have consistency.
It's true.
But
the thing is, I wanted other days,
the one-shots, we could try some of these other games that we were just talking about possibly trying.
It's true.
As one-shots and, be able to explore a couple systems and still get something out of it.
I also wanted to open up to other days too a little bit, because the fact is my live stream schedule is pretty set, but usually I'm live streaming at like 11 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time, so I could easily like role play a game in front of there and then go to that. Like if there was, I can't remember your exact schedule, but for example, like I ran something from like a 7 to 9. I could do that on a weekday, 7 to 9. I know that doesn't work for every day for you, but I know that some of your nights that might not be terrible for you to do.
No, right now with working at home twice a week, but once that goes away, most likely after I'm hired full time, I don't know if I'm going to be able to dedicate that time, because
that's true.
There's plenty of times with my work that I get I'm in IT. I get a call at 5:25, and it ends up taking me an hour to fix their computer problem. I don't get home, and it takes me over an hour to drive home. I might not get home to 7:30 some nights.
Well, and again, this is like I'm just exploring options at this point in time anyway, because I haven't started anything. Right. And I have a list of things that I probably want to try to organize and start, and I'll try to get a lot of that stuff together this week. Maybe if I organize a whole lot of them together, because I think the only one that I really have a huge idea of what I'm going to do with Roll20 is probably Treasure of the Lost Legion, which I've been sporadically doing little bits of work here and there on it since the last time I was working on it, but I haven't gotten that big dedicated time to finishing up the maps I was working on. After that, I think I would use it as a tool, but I probably wouldn't have the same maps because I don't have the same map supply unless I could get something from someone or something,
Right, or end up purchasing stuff, which I don't get costly.
Yeah, that can get costly. like maybe for some maps, like for one shots, I probably wouldn't throw a lot together for it. Probably I would keep it pretty simple.
Well,
Unless
the one adventure path, they actually had stuff in the book that you might be able to
that's true.
Copy and paste kind
That's
of thing
true.
into it, and then not have to worry about, creating it. You might be able to just go, whoop, there you go.
That's true. But anyway, why don't we move on from there, since this has sort of been a tangent on our stories from, or
Yes.
the Gaming Sage Advice, to the final, and let's finish up for this week. Cool. So, all right. So as I've previously said, schedule should sort of recorrect itself a little bit. Spellfire video should be out either, I'm going to say probably tomorrow or Monday. Again, I might do like a just random live stream one of those days, maybe over the night some point in time, before I would do my normal live stream or something, just to do it that way. I don't know yet. I haven't figured out my video setup for it really greatly too, to record me building a deck, because this might help for building a deck in Magic too, if I want to do that,
Right.
figuring out how to do that properly. Because again, I could like aim a camera down sort of maybe and like do something down here and show off cards, but then you don't see me, which I was thinking of a second camera, which maybe if I don't do a second camera for now, because I don't own a second camera, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't want the extra expense of a second camera right now. I could probably handle it right now, but I didn't want that right now. It's like budget isn't the greatest for doing so.
Right.
But the rest of the videos should relatively regain schedule. As I said, I've got the Besom video done. It's just been worrying about the Spellfire got me a little, and some personal stuff combined together to get me a little behind. So I should get at least Spellfire, Besom out today, AD&D. I don't know about Shadowrun because that depends on when I'm going to be role-playing. It might interrupt my time for getting Shadowrun set up, so I might throw that tomorrow. And I should be able to regain the schedule tomorrow then, back to normal completely. Great. Okay. Other things that are on it, again, I will probably be doing at least a video game / something live stream tomorrow night. I don't think I'm going to be playing Civilization because of my horrible defeat in Immortal, which was just, I got screwed over. I was doing great, and then I got screwed over.
Don't poke the bear with a stick.
I poked the bear with a stick.
Or a badger.
Actually, no. I stood next to the guy poking a bear with a stick. That's what I did. I'm like, he's like, come on, let me poke the bear with the stick. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, fine, go ahead and poke the bear with the stick. And the bear tried to maul me instead.
Yes.
Their war didn't last very long or something. I don't know what happened. I forgot all about the war until they showed up on my port city. It's like, oh wait, I'm at war with you. I forgot all about that.
Fun.
So yeah, I might do another video game or deck creation then. I'll see what I feel like. If I feel like throwing in the deck creation sometime before then, if like after we have a session today, if we end a little early or something, maybe I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna build a Spellfire deck. Let's live stream at like midnight. For people on the West Coast or another part of the world, they don't care. It's not as bad hours for them. But all right. Other than that, I guess we continue with, of course, Gathering the Roll will be Tuesday. This VOD should be up on, I'll say Monday. I'm still a little behind on my Civilization live stream VODs, but I only have 3 left to upload right now. So that's actually, 4 left to upload. Yep, 4 left to upload right now.
Right.
Which I'm going to be doing one today, so that'll leave 3 more. If I do one tomorrow, that'll leave 2 more. I could throw out one on Tuesday, and I'll catch up at some point with the VODs, probably. I had that one week where I was doing it because we weren't doing anything for a week, and I wanted to play a lot of Civilization. I just churned out a whole crap ton of episodes, so... that's my fault, and I'm behind on uploading them because of it. Anyway, all right, so until the next week, we, of course, will see you later then. If you have any questions that you want us to discuss in Gaming Sage Advice, any topics you want us to cover, you can always leave it in the comments of the VOD of this when I put it up. Leave it in the comments of Gathering the Roll, or email us at discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. We will be back next week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, same time. Hopefully, it'll probably be back to a normal-sized episode. Hopefully, we'll have at least one guest, if not some more.
Sounds good. Have a good week, everyone.
And until the next time, I bid you farewell.